So the Orlando Magic just wrapped up their first preseason game of the year, and man, do I have a lot to talk about. So what's up, guys? We are back. The Orlando Magic take home their first preseason game versus the New Orleans Pelicans 122-105. And while it is only preseason, after not getting a single win in the Summer League, it is nice to finally see a Magic win. But man, like I said, a lot of our questions would be answered in this game. Now, obviously, it's one game, small sample size, there is still a lot to do, but it would be an understatement to say that what we saw tonight was not promising for the future. So while I was watching the game, I was actually taking some notes, things that I caught that I wanted to write down and bring over to the video. They are just a little short, reminders. Some of them are kind of funny how I wrote it, because there were some things I saw early in the game that I just kind of wrote down, okay, let me keep note of this. And then the next quarter, the problem was already fixed, or that player was, snapped out of whatever was going on. So first off, let's start with lineups. We did see that lineup that we have been mentioning for the past few days of Markelle, Jalen, Franz, Paolo, and Wendell. Right away, we saw a lot of good. We saw a lot of growth from what we were mentioning last year that we needed to improve on. Certain players I'll get into later when I hit that, but that defense that we've been preaching the entire offseason, it showed itself tonight. We were able to piece together multiple highlight plays just based off getting the stops on defense, whether it's a steal or a block. And funny enough, I actually wrote down in my notes, in the first quarter, defense showed potential. There's a dash and it goes, update, defense is going to win us a lot of games. Because after that first quarter, we had to shed some rust. Once we hit that second and third, our guys really started to become more comfortable in showing off what they can do. We unfortunately did go down, I believe, 16 in the second quarter of this game. A lot of that was because we did do a full lineups change and put in our bench unit, which was Cole, Mo, J.I., Gary, and Anthony Black. And when it comes to that bench unit, I'm going to start off and say Cole Anthony was absolutely amazing today. I mean, very aggressive, very efficient. He was the only spark of offense off the bench until J.I., who came in a little rusty, kind of had to get his legs underneath him. And he kind of, led us to a little push later in the second. But in 14 minutes off the bench, Cole put up 14, 4, and 3 on 50% shooting from both the field and from 3. And like I said, in a lineup where the offense was very stagnant, he kind of just took over and did it himself and kind of kept us afloat. We did go down 16, but I feel like without him, it would have been way worse. And then, like I mentioned, that brings me into J.I., who I wrote down in my notes, J.I. aggressive, but showing some rust. As to be expected, he played 11 games last year on a 10-minute restriction after already being out of the court for 2 years before that. So, it's expected to see some rust, but in 8 minutes, the stat line don't show it, 2 for 7 from the field, but he was very effective. He did have a little stretch where he scored 6 straight for us, I believe. And then the defense, his nickname isn't the Minister of Defense for no reason. As rusty as he was, it was still there, and it was still very much, showing. And along with AB, like I mentioned, the defensive lineup of this second unit can be very, very scary. We didn't see Joe Ingles today. He did take a rest. So I do feel like he could have helped, the offense flow a little bit more. But back to AB, the offense, it was rusty. It was definitely a performance there that he can improve on from here. But that defense is as advertised. We know he was going to be good defensively, and it showed today. He did pick up a few fouls, but he did stay aggressive on that end of the floor, and it was really showing. And then getting back to the stars, a point I mentioned in that video from earlier today, the preview of the game, I said I want to see aggression out of Markelle and Franz. And just like that, in their short little play time today, they were efficient and productive. Markelle going 5 of 7 from the field, including a very impressive highlight dunk. And then Franz 4 of 6 himself. Unfortunately, we didn't see any threes out of Markelle today, but I don't have a really problem with that, as long as he's just taking a shot he's comfortable with. And he did have a nice little crossover on Zion into a little nice smooth pull-up jumper. And speaking of Zion, let's get into Paolo. Another wish I had in today's video was me wanting to see if Paolo's interior defense that we saw in the FIBA tournament can carry over into today. And sure enough, the first game, he gets one of the toughest matchups in the interior that you can get in Zion Williamson. And if you go back and watch the replays, he handled him very, very well. I think Zion also forgot for a second that Paolo was also 250 himself, because he was trying to back him down, and I'm telling you, he stood his ground. And in just 20 minutes, he put up 12 points and 6 rebounds and 2 monster dunks that both made the highlight reel, both of them coincidentally being on Jonas Valanciunas. But man, if you guys see that first one, it is just, it was pretty special. It was the first few played the games too, so that, I mean, listen, if that's how we want to set the tone for this season, then we are in for a wild ride. And then we have the new addition to the starting lineup in Jalen Suggs, who unfortunately, his offense today was not what we wanted to see. He did shoot 1 of 5 from 3, but all the shots were good shots, and I think they are shots that will fall in the future. But the man did do the one thing that we know he does best, which is play defense. The backcourt of Markelle and Jalen, it really showed its potential today and how dangerous it could be for opposing teams. And like I said, a lot of our highlights come from those defensive plays. So, you know, a defensive stop, our guys want to run, and our guys can run the floor very well. A lot of them can too. So we saw multiple instances today getting to stop on one end, running to the floor, and then getting a dunk or an easy layup or a corner three. And speaking of corner threes, we need to talk Wendell Carter Jr. I feel like he is a very fitting candidate today to take home, you know, the most improved players that we've seen so far on this team. Because looking at Wendell today, 19 minutes, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 of 5 from 3. I don't think he missed a corner 3 today. I think the one he missed was at the top of the key. But not only is his shot very smooth, he's shooting it very confidently. We did see in training camp a couple of days ago that he did say we are going to see a new Wendell this year, a much improved Wendell. And it's only one game, but he's backed it up so far to this point. And then looking over the Pelicans, it is preseason. So, you know, I'm not going to, you know, push this too much. But defensive side, we did hold him to only 41% from the field and 23% from 3. So, you know, that's a look into the future of what this team can do defensively. I think we have a very bright path ahead of us. The one concern I still do have a little bit with this team is the rebounding. Last year, rebounding was an issue. Today, I did see glimpses of those struggles still. But besides that, I liked what we saw a lot. Unfortunately, 2 of the players I was excited to see most off the bench, Jet and Goga, didn't enter the game until like 4 minutes left in the third. But in both their short stints running with, you know, like the third stringers, they were very good. Goga was very impressive to me, at least. As for Jet, who also gave us 8 points on 2 of 5 from 3, so 40%. That's exactly what we want. If we can increase that volume and keep that percentage the same, then he's going to slide right in perfectly. But yeah, guys, I'll continue to say it is preseason, but I would be lying if I said a Magic win tonight did not feel good, especially after seeing everything that we saw from the team today. Versus a New Orleans team that was very good with Zion last year. They were like the 1 seed. So coming in today and playing a team that was playing a very fast-paced version of basketball with their starters out there, I feel like it was a very good test run for our guys. You know, good competition. And on a side note, I just want to give a shout out to the New Orleans commentators. They really knew what they were talking about with the team, and they weren't, you know, biased in any way. And it was nice to see a, you know, group of team commentators that, you know, kind of knew what they were talking about and were showing us this heavy respect. So yeah, preseason game 1 is a wrap. Next game is on Thursday versus Cleveland. I'm curious to see who we see, how much of people we see in that game, and how much of the positives carry over and how much of the negatives get fixed. But until then, I'm gonna keep rewatching the highlights from tonight. But on that note, if you guys enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Playback. I announced in the video earlier today that I did get accepted in the Playback creator, so I can stream games there. I don't know exactly when the first time I'll do that is, but it is something I'm looking forward to do at points in the season. I highly recommend, if you guys have not checked out the site, go over there. You can sign up and you link a TV provider and you can watch the games live together. It doesn't have to be with me. It could be with any team, any fan, any, you know, a lot of creators use it. But yeah, that's enough out of me today. I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.